The millionaire is left astounded when a waitress defeats him in chess. You won't believe how. The air crackled with excitement in the grand hall of the City View Gala, a glittering charity event where the rich splashed their wealth and marked their influence. Everyone was dressed to the nines, but there was one man who commanded the room, Martin Blake, a tech mogul with sharp features and an even sharper intellect. Martin was used to bending the world to his will. Around him, admiring whispers fluttered like gossiping butterflies. He had made millions by being the smartest one in the room, and tonight the spotlight was his. But amidst the chandeliers dripping with crystals and the lavish spread of gourmet food, Martin's focus shifted. His eyes fell on a waitress darting between tables, her dark hair glimmering like a raven's wings. Iris. She moved with a grace that belied her status, carrying trays as if they were mere feathers. Yet there was something in her eyes, something deep and stormy, hinting at untold stories. "Chess?" Martin said, a smirk creeping onto his lips as he approached her during a lull. "Do you play?" "Here and there," Iris replied, her voice calm but edged with a challenge. He leaned closer, the scent of expensive cologne mixing with the rich aromas of the gala. "I'll wager you $10,000 on a game." Laughter erupted. A few guests watched, intrigued. Money flowed like water at such gatherings, but this man was serious. Eyes twinkled with anticipation. Iris nodded, a flicker of defiance lighting up her features. Soon they were at an elegant table in the corner. The pieces gleamed under the soft lights, polished like the luxuries surrounding them. Martin dismissed her moves at first, confident, shoving whispers of pity and doubt aside. "You really think you can beat me?" But as the game progressed, the crowd leaned in. People gasped as Iris maneuvered her pieces with stunning precision. Each move was a calculated dance, a silent symphony that only she could hear. Martin's brow furrowed, his heartbeat escalating. He wasn't used to being challenged in a room full of sycophants. Flashes of uncertainty shot through him. What was this girl hiding? As he stared into her eyes, flickers of a past echoed in his mind, an untold tale of loss. A former chess prodigy now trapped in the shadows. The onlookers murmured. Whispers of disbelief rippled through the air, cutting into Martin's confidence. He felt the tightening in his chest, the prickling of sweat at his brow. Suddenly he realized this wasn't just a game. It was a battle of destinies. Who held the reins to their future? His privileged arrogance collided with the turmoil hidden in Iris's heart. Every piece he lost felt like a part of himself slipping away. The match reached a tense standstill, and the room held its breath. Iris glanced at the pieces, her hands trembling slightly, caught between returning to darkness or stepping back into the light. All eyes were on her. All hope seemed pinned to the moment. She took a breath and made a bold move that altered everything. The gasp reverberated through the crowd as silence thickened like fog. What would happen next? Who would control the game and their lives? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Iris held her breath, her heart pounding as she made her move, placing her queen in a bold position. Gasps broke the air like crackling glass. Martin's smug confidence wavered momentarily, his eyes darting between the board and the crowd. And then it happened. A loud crash shattered the tension. A massive chandelier above them trembled, sending a cascade of crystals raining down. Panic erupted. Guests screamed. Some ducked beneath tables, but Martin's focus narrowed, suddenly oblivious to the chaos surrounding them. He locked eyes with Iris, the unbroken connection intensifying. "Wait, what is happening?" he managed to utter, disbelief dancing in his voice. But before anyone could answer, a group of masked individuals burst through the grand entrance, their black outfits blending seamlessly with the shadows they cast. Iris's eyes widened. She drew in a sharp, shaky breath. Was this a heist? But then one figure lifted their mask. It was someone she recognized, Marco, her estranged brother. Her heart fell. "Get away from her," he shouted, his voice rasping through the mayhem like a knife. Martin took a step back, confusion etched across his features. The crowd gasped again, now thoroughly caught in shock. "Marco, what are you doing here?" Iris shouted, her voice trembling, torn between terror and a flicker of long-buried hope. "You shouldn't be here. This isn't safe." "Iris, listen to me. We don't have time for this," Marco barked, eyes wild as he scanned the crowd, searching for something or someone. "They're coming for you. You need to go, now." The words hit her like a blow. Thoughts raced. What was he talking about? Why was she in danger? Before she could respond, the masked figures moved closer. Pushing their way through the surprised guests, panic deepened. Cries of confusion erupted, voices blending into a chaotic symphony of fear. Martin took a resolute step forward, trying to maintain control. "Iris, don't listen to him. This is just a game. We're in the middle of a game." But the urgency in Marco's voice broke through Martin's bravado. "This isn't about the game. You just need to trust me." Iris felt her heart twist painfully in her chest. Torn between two worlds, she glanced at the chessboard. Each piece was a reflection of her current reality, black and white, clear divisions. But this was a grayer area. Suddenly, chaos erupted. The masked figures lunged, grabbing the nearest guests. A woman screamed, her voice reaching a chill deep in Iris's bones. "Iris!" Marco shouted, reaching for her. Time stood still, her instincts clashing with everything she thought she knew. Martin's back straightened, defiance flickering in his eyes. "Iris, it's just a distraction. Focus!" Commanded, but his voice faded as her brother continued to fight against the chaos spilling around them. Marco took a step closer, eyes desperate. "They're here to take you because of what you know, what you are." The words pressed down like a weight on her chest. What do you mean?" she stammered, confusion swirling. Before he could answer, another crash echoed, and the crowd erupted again. As everything spun around her, one thought churned deeper. Who was she really? It all unraveled in an instant. Trust, identity, hidden pasts spilling into the light. In the swirling madness, Iris saw her chance. Would she follow her brother into the unknown, or cling to the illusion of safety with Martin? The question hung, heavy in the air, uncertainty thickening every breath. What was her truth? Would they be able to escape this chaos, or would they be swallowed whole? Anxiety gripped her, leaving her breathless as she faced the choice that could change everything. Iris felt her heart race, caught between her brother's urgent plea and the chaos swallowing the gala. Time seemed to stretch, thick and suffocating. She glanced at Martin, his jaw clenched, eyes burning with determination, but everything else blurred. The masked figures were closing in, cutting off escape routes. "Marco, I can't leave. I don't understand," she shouted, panic tinged with desperation, each word trembling. "They're coming for answers, Iris, Doran's men." Marco's voice was raw, but there was a glint of familiarity, a brother's protective instinct she hadn't felt in years. Martin stepped forward, defiance shifting into something sharper. Answers. What answers could she possibly have? Iris's mind raced. Answers? What answers? She thought about the past, the whispers of secrets and shadows that wrapped around her like a shroud. She'd always assumed her life was ordinary, unremarkable. But Marco's words echoed like a gunshot in her mind, unraveling threads of her reality. And then, just like that, it happened. An explosion erupted from the far end of the hall. A thunderous roar that sent shards of crystal raining down, shimmering and deadly. Voices screamed in panic as flames licked up the walls, casting eerie shadows. People scrambled, chairs toppled, and gasps filled the air. Like choking smoke, Iris ducked instinctively, her heart pounding. As she glanced back toward Marco, her breath caught in her throat. He wasn't just her brother, he was her keeper of secrets. As the crowd thrashed in chaos, one of the masked individuals lunged at Iris, eyes wild. Marco intercepted, tackling the figure to the floor. The explosion had sent everyone into chaos, but it also ripped off the masks, the truth coming out in a way no one expected. The figure beneath Marco, writhing and shouting, was not just an intruder. It was Gabrielle, their childhood friend, someone they thought was long gone. Tears streamed down her face. "Help me, Iris," she cried, horrified, revealing a familiar face overshadowed by darkness. "What? Gabrielle?" Iris gasped, grappling with disbelief. She felt a rush of memories, playful days in the sun, laughter echoing through the halls. But now, a life of hurt had twisted that joy into something unrecognizable. "Do something, they won't stop. They want you," Gabrielle wailed, desperation effusing from her cracked voice. Everything shifted in an instant. Martin's confident facade crumbled. "Who are you? What do you mean they want her?" Gabrielle glanced at Martin, her fear morphing into dark recognition. "You don't know, do you? You think it's just a game, but you're in too deep." Suddenly, another loud crash reverberated through the gala. One of the chandeliers swung precariously, catching Martin off guard. He stumbled back, crashing into a table, his face a mix of shock and confusion. Iris felt the walls closing in. What's happening? What game? Panic gripped her as she stared at Marco, who was struggling against Gabrielle's assailant. "Trust me, Iris. You're part of something bigger than we understood. The stakes are higher than you know." Just then, a roar erupted from the entrance. More masked figures flooded in, but they wore different colors, and their presence was infused with a sharp energy. Iris's skin prickled. She saw the leader among them, tall, imposing, with silver hair gleaming in the flickering light. He pulled off his mask, revealing a face she knew too well. It was her father, long thought dead, his eyes burning with urgency and authority. "Iris, we have to get out now," he commanded, the sound enveloping her into stunned silence. All at once, memories crashed into her. Lost years, unanswered questions, secrets hidden beneath layers of pain. Her heart raced, emotions storming inside her as everything she'd known unraveled. Who was she really? What were they really doing here? The piercing truth hit her. This was more than a game. This was a reckoning. And she stood at the center of it all, grappling with a destiny she couldn't fully understand. Would she stand and fight, or flee into the shadows with her father, the ghost of her past suddenly alive and breathing? Her mind buzzed, the weight of uncertainty pressing down. Would she ever escape the chains of this revelation? Iris felt her heart pound in her chest, a chaotic thunder as her father's face swallowed her in disbelief. "Dad, is that really you?" she croaked, hope and confusion warring in her mind. The room around her spun, a cacophony of screams and shattering glass fading into a muffled background. "Not now, Iris, we need to go," he shouted, his silver hair shimmering under the chaotic lights, eyes desperate. Gabrielle's panicked voice broke through the haze. "Iris, please, he's lying." She struggled against Marco, who pulled at her with no intention of letting go. "He's not your father. He's a monster." Time froze as Iris's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "He turned his back on us, left." Gabrielle's words fell into a rush of urgency. "We thought you were dead too. He's been hiding dangerous secrets." Before Iris could respond, a blinding flash lit the room. It wasn't just the flames. An explosion rumbled, sending more chandeliers crashing, smoke filling the air with a choking grip. "Move!" Marco shouted, wrestling with Gabrielle, their bodies colliding in the madness. In that terrifying moment, everything shattered. A loud crack pierced through the smoke as the pulse of chaos ringed in her ears. Martin was still there, determination returning to his face, But it was different now. "Iris, I can help you. Trust me." But her gaze was fixed on her father. The strange distance in his eyes unnerved her. "Why didn't you find me?" Why now? She fought against her own fear, struggling to comprehend the whirlwind of emotions crashing over her like waves. "I couldn't. It was too dangerous," he replied, a flicker of pain darting across his features. As uncertainty tightened its grip, everything shifted. Suddenly, another figure emerged from the shadows behind her father. Tall, cloaked in darkness. Someone whose very presence made her stomach drop. It was a woman, someone she recognized from old family photos but couldn't place. "I didn't think you'd be foolish enough to show yourself," she snarled. "What?" Iris gasped, darting backward, shock washing over her. "Mom." The truth hit like a tidal wave, memories crashing into pieces, faded laughs, shared moments, an echo of warmth. But everything spiraled quickly. "Iris, listen," her mother began, but a loud bang cut her off, and a sudden surge of masked figures bum-rushed the space, chaos erupting anew. "Run!" Marco pressed forward, pulling Gabrielle with him as the crowd scattered, devastation closing in. "Why are they after me?" Iris screamed, her chest heaving, suffocated by the rapid shifts around her. She turned to her parents. "What is going on? Who are you?" Before they could answer, an explosive sound erupted again, an unholy roar that sent a shockwave through the hall. It physically knocked her off her feet. As she hit the ground, everything felt surreal. Were they truly her parents? Secrets and betrayal churned in her gut. She caught a glimpse of Martin fumbling, eyes darting, calculating. The pieces of the puzzle crumbled as realization clawed at her heart. "You knew, didn't you?" His eyes flickered, a mixture of fear and something else, calculating, chilling. "I had to protect you," he said, words dropping like lead. "You're not just anyone." Iris's breath caught. She felt the world tilt, a seismic shift as her very identity wavered beneath this fractured truth. It was more than she could bear. What does that even mean? What am I? Desperation filled the air, thick and choking. Torn between the layers of deception unfolding around her and the mundane life she'd always known, uncertainty hung heavily. What other truths lay hidden? What was going to happen to her if she stayed? The fire crackled, screams echoed, and Iris stood on the precipice of everything. "Who am I really?" she breathed out, the question trembling on her lips. The very fabric of her reality unraveling as the chaos closed in. She was on the brink of discovery. But would she survive to know the truth? The air around Iris thickened with a mix of fear and confusion as she stood there, teetering on the edge of truth and revelation. Her father's face, once a ghost from her childhood, now loomed larger than life, sending waves of disbelief crashing through her mind. "Why didn't you find me? Why now?" she breathed, desperate for the answers that felt just out of reach. Suddenly, a loud crash pierced the chaos again. More masked figures charged through the room, their shadows darting among the panicked crowd, and Iris instinctively pressed closer to Marco and Gabrielle. The ground shook beneath them, flames flickered wildly, and an unsettling tension rose like smoke, stinging her eyes. "Iris," someone shouted through the din. It was Martin, scrambling to regain control, but his voice was lost in the cacophony. She turned back to her parents. They were arguing now, faces twisted in fear and anger. "Stop this, we need to leave," her father insisted, panic flashing across his features. "Iris is coming with me," Marco interjected forcefully, gripping her arm as if to anchor her in a storm. "No, she belongs with us," her mother shouted, her voice thick with urgency. Iris felt the tug-of-war begin, her identity caught between family ties and the chaos threatening to stratify everything she thought she knew. In a moment of sheer panic, a shadow moved fast, too fast. A masked figure launched toward her, the intent clear and deadly. Marco shoved Iris aside, intercepting the masked assailant with fierce determination. "Get back," he growled, wrestling the figure to the ground. But just as the struggle took shape, another explosion rocked through the gala. The world exploded in a blaze of light and sound, shattering not just glass, but the very fabric of reality. Iris stumbled backward, her breath hitching as the venue spun. A wave of heat surged over her, nearly sweeping her off her feet. Her eyes met Martin's once more, and the raw urgency in his gaze sent a chill rippling through her. Was he still on her side? "Help them!" she cried out, gesturing toward Marco, desperately wanting to help, but frozen in fear. Martin hesitated, then bolted into the fray, but as he moved, something caught Iris's eye. A flash of silver amidst the shadows. It wasn't just her father. Another figure emerged from the chaos, gliding with an unsettling grace. The crowd parted momentarily, revealing a woman dressed in deep crimson, her eyes cold and sharp. "No more playing games, Iris," she said with a voice that sliced through the noise. Recognition slammed into Iris like a freight train. It was Lena, her mother's sister, another ghost from the past, but not one she trusted. "You have to choose now." "Choose?" Iris's heart raced. "What are you talking about?" With every ounce of her being, she was compelled to turn back to her parents. But that's when Lena made her move. She lunged forward, grabbing Iris by the wrist with a grip like iron. "You think you're safe? They've come for you. You're more than you realize." And then the truth spilled from Lena's lips like poison. "You're the key to everything, Iris. Your father, your mother, they only seek to control you." The room evaporated in a wave of shock. "What?" The word escaped her in disbelief, heart hammering in her chest. "What do you mean by that?" But before Lena could respond, the air buzzed with static, and without warning, the lights flickered violently. Then they went out entirely, plunging the gala into darkness. A murmur of fear swept through the guests, thick and palpable. Iris felt the world spin and the ground shift beneath her feet. Heart pounding, she screamed into the void, "What's happening?" Just then, a blinding flash erupted amidst the darkness, illuminating the scene for a split second. In that flickering moment, she saw the shocked faces of everyone, the guests frozen, her father's eyes wide with horror, and Martin, his face shrouded in uncertainty. Then, the earth trembled again, but this time it felt different, primal. A rumble built up from the very core of the venue, shaking everything down to its foundation. The walls began to crumble, and Iris realized the truth. This was no mere escape plan. It was all orchestrated chaos. "Run," she shouted, but her remaining stability dissolved as another explosion erupted. Dust and debris filled the air, bringing the harsh reality crashing down. Amid the chaos, then came the whispered words through the chaos, striking her like a lightning bolt. "You don't know who you really are, Iris. You never will if you stay here." The urgency left her breathless. "What?" But the darkness swelled and the ground shifted. The last thing Iris saw before everything plunged into chaos was Martin's face, filled with desperation, and then everything went black. The world plunged into darkness, swallowing Iris whole. A haunting silence filled the air, isolating her from the chaos. She had braced herself for the unknown, but the absence of sound was a scream in itself. Her heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears like a drum against a thick wall. And then, as if a switch had been flipped, lights flickered back on, weak and inconsistent. Shadows danced around the room, revealing a scene that felt both familiar and foreign, like a twisted nightmare. She scrambled to her feet, searching through the chaos, a sea of panicked faces, fire and smoke. But there, standing just a few feet away, was Martin. He flicked, his gaze between her and her parents, the storm brewing behind those icy blue eyes. "Iris, we have to move," he yelled over the mounting chaos. His breathless urgency wrapped around her like a lifeline. Before she could respond, there was another explosion, shuddering through the hall, a deafening sound that nearly knocked her off balance again. The debris rained down like deadly confetti, and screams echoed off the walls. "Trust me," Martin shouted, extending his hand towards her. But just then, the floor beneath them trembled. A loud rumbling crack split the air, and in an instant the ground gave way. Iris gasped as the floor opened up, revealing a gaping chasm below. It swallowed the edges of the gala, pulling guests down into the shadow below. In that heart-stopping moment, she reached for Marco's hand, but he was too far. "Dad," she screamed, but her voice was lost amid the chaos. In a panic, her eyes darted back to Martin, who had jumped forward to save a nearby guest. The whole scene unfolded like a slow-motion movie, his strong presence pushing against the tide of chaos. But then, as the floor caved, something shattered her world completely. From the shadows emerged Lena. Her eyes, once cold as ice, now sparked with a chilling excitement. "At last, the moment is upon us," she cried, loud enough for the room to hear. Everything froze as all eyes turned to her. "Lena, what do you mean?" Iris shouted, throat tight, bewildered by the sudden shift of focus and the wild glint in Lena's eyes. But Lena only laughed, a high and chilling sound, and pointed at Iris. "You're not just her, you're the one we've been seeking, the true heir to the legacy. You have no idea what you're capable of." What do you mean?" The room felt like it was closing in around her, the air thick with confusion. Instead of answering, Lena smirked and pressed a hidden button on her wristband. In response, a series of hidden panels slid open around the ballroom, revealing hidden doors and glimpses of a high-tech command center beyond. High-tech screens flickered to life, showing red alerts and encrypted messages. Lines of data spilled under flashing headings. Project Phoenix. Subject Iris activated. The crowd gasped, turning their shock towards Iris. "You're not just a waitress, are you?" Martin questioned, slowly piecing together the fragments, his expression twisting from confusion to horror. With her heart pounding, every breath felt like a boulder lodged in her throat. The truth hit harder than the fire engulfing the gala. "What is this?" she croaked, the trembling of her hands betraying her fear. "Your life has been a lie. All this time you've been trained without even knowing it." Lena's voice rose above the panic. The words were an arrow, hitting at the very core of her reality, piercing through the fabric of the life she thought she had. "What do you mean trained? For what?" "Don't you see?" Lena's smile widened and the crowd shifted uneasily. "You are part of a larger design, a plan that's been set in motion for decades. You're meant to lead, to transform everything we know." "No," Iris shouted, the weight of the revelation sinking into her bones. "I'm nothing like that." But Lena only laughed, her eyes glimmering like shards of glass, reflecting every fear that now coursed through Iris's veins. "You can't run from your destiny, Iris. You belong to the shadows, not the light." As chaos erupted anew and the ground beneath them trembled, it became clear that everything she thought she knew had just shattered. Iris stood at the edge of a revelation, heart racing, breath hitching. The real battle was only just beginning. "Now choose, Iris," Lena called over the rising din. "Who will you become?" With the world crumbling around her, Iris felt the weight of fate pressing down. Would she follow the darkness, or claw her way back into the light? Answers loomed, and everything hung in the balance. The air crackled with a buzzing urgency, swirling around Iris as Lena's voice lingered, heavy with promise and danger. "Now choose, Iris. Who will you become?" The words hung between them like a sword, ready to cut her reality in two. Clenching her fists, Iris felt her heart race. The room felt like it was spinning, the ground trembling beneath her feet. All around her, chaos reigned, a parade of fear, confusion, and flames. She was swept into it, caught between the flickering truth and the shadows of deception. Could she trust her parents? Could she trust Martin? But as she stood there, grappling with it all, something unexpected happened. A low growl echoed through the hall, sending a ripple of fear washing over the crowd. It came from the shadows, an unexplainable sound that felt alive. The masked figures hesitated, their strength and sparking. The eyes were glowing orbs, blazing with a fierce, unnatural light. Screams erupted, slicing through the confusion. But Iris felt her legs lock, her breath caught in her throat. The creature charged forward, its body shifting like an animal, eyes darting to and fro, seeking something or someone. "What the hell is that?" Martin boomed, stepping back as it barreled through chaos, jagged metal glinting dangerously. But Lena's laughter rang out, ringing with madness. "You didn't think the game was only between you, did you? Welcome to the true arena." The creature moved like a whirlwind, driving forward, scattering the crowd as it sought Iris. It seemed to know her. Her heart thundered. Why was it coming for her? Iris. "Run!" Marco shouted, but she couldn't move, rooted in place, the fear twisted in her gut. She felt the history, the hidden legacy she never wanted. And then came the shocking twist that turned everything on its head. The creature halted right in front of her, scanning her face, its gaze freezing her to the spot. A voice echoed in her mind, deep and haunting. "You are the one, the key, the player in this game." Those words jolted her, igniting memories she thought were lost, whispers of long-lost voices that came rushing back. It was familiar, too familiar. Suddenly, she recognized the voice. It was her own, a reflection of something buried deep inside her. But before she could process what it meant, the ground shook violently again. A wall to her right crumbled, revealing a hidden room beyond. In that fleeting moment, she caught a glimpse of documents, screens lighting up with information buried from her for years. The truth scrambled to the surface, raw and insistent. Marco and Gabrielle were by her side, eyes wide with horror. "Iris, we need to get out," Marco yelled, pulling at her arm. "That thing is not just a monster, it's a weapon." A weapon? Her mind reeled. Memories floated like broken glass, jagged and sharp. What was she capable of? Lena stepped closer, eyes glittering with excitement. "You were never just a waitress, Iris. You were always meant for more. Embrace it." But Iris could no longer discern who was friend or foe amid the chaos. She turned back to the creature, its glowing eyes locked onto hers. "What are you?" she whispered, her heart racing. "It's me, or the me I might become," the creature rumbled softly, sounding like her own voice but twisted, fractured, and monstrous. Iris's breath hitched. "What are you saying?" The creature stepped closer, looming over her, and the world around her blurred. "Choose, Iris, or I will choose for you." The walls shook one last time, shadows dancing wildly, and everything she thought she knew shattered like glass underfoot. Was the monster truly her? Friends scattered, relationships frayed, and trust became a mirage in the flames. The question lingered, stark and terrifying. Who was she really? And if faced with this choice, was the true danger within her? Everything felt like it was collapsing. The ground shook beneath Iris, the creature looming over her, darkness whispering in her ear. She could feel the fear pulse through her veins, a living thing demanding her to run. The creature's eyes were fierce, glowing like fireflies in the night, and it opened its mouth as if to speak again. But before it could utter another word, a deafening roar erupted from behind. A blinding light cut through the smoke, and steel beams fractured like toothpicks. Everyone turned, all eyes drawn to the center of the hall. Just then, a figure burst through the rubble, a silhouette blurred by the chaos. The crowd recoiled, gasping as the dust settled, revealing a woman clad in black leather. She moved with a wild elegance, each step deliberate, eyes sharp as knives. As she raised her chin, her face came into view, sharp cheekbones, dark hair cascading like a waterfall around her shoulders. Iris's heart raced. Recognizing her was like looking in a broken mirror. Amelia. Iris breathed, disbelief flooding her senses. Her childhood friend, the one who vanished without a trace, standing there as chaos reigned. But something was off. The glint in Amelia's eyes was not the warmth of familiarity. It was something darker, more predatory. Iris, Amelia's voice purred through the chaos. You've grown. The moment stretched. Memories raced. Games on the playground. Secrets shared in the shadows of the past. But this wasn't the girl who shared candy bars. This was someone changed, twisted. Amelia had to be part of this madness. What are you doing here? Iris shouted, panic clawing at her throat. Amelia smirked, a predatory grin that chilled Iris to the bone. I'm here to help you embrace who you really are. You've been hiding away too long. No, Iris shot back, fear igniting into anger. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. But Amelia stepped closer, eyes glimmering with a feverish light. Oh, sweet Iris, you're so much more than you think. You're meant to lead. They've kept you away from your true path. No more. Running from it, the creature roared again, furious now, as if Amelia's presence threatened its power. Stay out of this, it growled, surging forward as the ground trembled once more. No, you stay out, Amelia barked, a flick of her wrist sending a shockwave through the air. It knocked the creature back. It stumbled, eyes wide, as if realizing the game had shifted. Iris felt the ground beneath her shift, a raw energy sparking in the air. She looked between Martin, who stood frozen, and Marco, who was still engaged with Gabrielle, both wide-eyed with confusion. What is happening? Amelia's voice took on a sing-song quality, mocking and enchanting. She's the key, but she forgot the door, didn't she? With a flourish, she pointed to Iris. Don't you see? You're not just a player, you're the queen. You have the power to stop this. Stop what? Iris cried, emotions twisted with disbelief. What game? And then, a shocking twist. The realization slammed into her, like a thunderbolt. Amelia turned on her parents, eyes narrowing dangerously. But let's face it, they didn't want you to know the truth. They kept you soft, powerless. Enough, her mother yelled, stepping forward. But Amelia waved her hand like a conductor, silencing the room. Your mother, Amelia shrugged, a hint of disdain, curling her lip. She lied. Your father went into hiding because of the threat she posed to our world. A threat she knew you'd never overcome. A hush fell. Silence gripped the room, thick and suffocating. Iris's heart raced, confusion and fury twisting together. Everything she thought she knew collapsed like a house of cards. Stop lying, Iris shouted, doubt coating her words. But Amelia only laughed, a sound rich with dark promise. The truth is a powerful weapon, Iris. And now it's time to decide. Are you with me, or are you with them? The creature, writhing against the wall, suddenly shifted its focus back to Iris, syncing its movements with her heartbeat. She could feel the pull within her, an energy she had never acknowledged, swelling up, ready to take form. Fear gripped her tightly. What choice lay before her? The warmth of her mother's arms, or this dark promise of power? A wild urge to understand surged inside her, clawing for freedom, ready to explode. Choose, Iris, Amelia urged once more, tones menacing yet hypnotic. The entire gala held its breath, prime for the moment of truth. And in that space, everything felt suspended, a cataclysm brewing on the edge. What would Iris decide, and what awaited her on the path she chose? Iris stood frozen, the weight of Amelia's words suffocating. The air crackled with fear and confusion. The creature loomed, eyes burning with an unnatural light. Everything felt off, like the spectator's perspective was bleeding into the action. What had they set in motion? The choice teetered dangerously, a knife edge between worlds. Amelia smirked, sensing the tension. You could have all the power. You don't need them. The crowd behind Iris swirled in panic, voices hushed, eyes wide. Then the creature roared, making the floor vibrate beneath her. It wasn't just a monster, it was a weapon of their chaotic upbringing, an embodiment of fear and danger tangled with hidden potential. Iris, it called, voice rumbling deep within. We are bound. Only you can awaken me. What does that mean? Her voice shook, uncertainty clawing at her. Everything was fracturing. Her life, identity, purpose. Choose now. Amelia pressed onward. Join me. Together we can take control. But as Iris hesitated, the lights flickered. A cartoon of shadows and fire, some parts dark while others shone bright. And then there was a sound, less a bang, more like a whisper that tore through the chaos. In that split second, the creature stiffened, its glow fading to a dull shimmer. The shadows cast earlier twisted into something different, a figure emerging from behind the mayhem. Iris turned, and her breath caught again. It was her father, but not the man she'd seen moments ago. This version stood taller, aura more commanding, eyes sharper, and with an intelligence that felt ancient. He seemed to resonate with the very walls around them. Iris, his voice cut through like a knife, but it was layered with something unfamiliar, a resonance that vibrated in her bones. I'm sorry. For what? She snapped, emotions spiraling up her chest like fire. For hiding? For keeping me in the dark? You left us. Listen, he demanded, an urgency piercing through his tone. You're not just my daughter. You're my legacy. It was never meant to be like this. Then came the words that tore at everything. I had to protect you from the truth we unearthed, from the game we created. The crowd gasped. Everything felt wrong, as if cobwebs had been ripped off the corners of their eyes, revealing a bigger reality hiding in plain sight. Those words, they were heavy and shot through with betrayal. Suddenly the creature shuddered, a voice like hers, but twisted by pain. The legacy, it echoed, sending chills through Iris. It turned to her parents, searching for answers. What have you done? Iris whimpered, reality shattering like glass around her. She didn't know who to believe. But then, before anyone could respond, the chaos morphed again. A sudden crack, a fissure ripped through the ground. A brilliant light erupted, burning like a star. It consumed everything, swallowing the dialogue and creating chaos anew. When the light dimmed, Iris found herself in a darkened corridor. There were flashes of science equipment, screens blinking with complex data. Was she still at the gala? Or had she walked into another reality? But the twist came quickly. A monitor burst to life. Frantic lines of code, names scrolling by. One that stood out clearer than the others. Subject 007. Legacy Protocol. What? Iris jumped back, heart pounding. But as quickly as she turned, the outline of a figure appeared, a mirror image of herself standing before her, eyes wide with confusion. Who are you? They both said in unison. Iris felt the pull as the realization sank. This doppelganger was her. But not just a reflection. It was something more. A twisted remnant of who she might have been, or could become. As silence enveloped them, uncertainty gripped the air. What had her parents really done? Did this version of her exist because of them? Was there yet another layer to the monster, the project, and to her own existence? The chaos continued, and Iris felt the looming shadows beckoning. She was, at the center of it all, standing frozen between two fates. She looked to the creature, the screens, her parents, and that haunting image of herself. Suddenly, the choice seemed even more complex, darkened with secrets that couldn't be muddied over anymore. Who am I really? She gasped, staring into her own eyes, drowned in uncertainty. Every choice made, it all unraveled before her. As she stood there, hovering at the brink of truth, tension crackled in the air, with everything but clarity. There was no more running from the shadows. She had to confront it all. A decision had to be made. But what if the truth was more terrifying than anything she could imagine? Iris stood facing the mirror image of herself, disbelief crashing hard against her thoughts. The shadows flickered, blending the chaos of the gala with this strange, sterile corridor. Heart racing, she stumbled backward, memories twisting together in a tide of confusion. Who are you? They both whispered, fear lacing through their voices as they studied each other. I'm you. What you could become. The doppelganger replied softly, eyes wide with longing. An almost painful reflection of everything Iris had hidden. "You're meant for greatness, Iris. Don't you see?" "No," Iris shot back. This wasn't just about her fate. It was about everyone she loved and who had fought for her. The monster. Her parents. Emilia. Each revelation pulled her deeper into darkness. Yet a spark flickered within her, raw, unapologetic. Defiance. A loud crunch echoed from above, and debris rained down like confetti made of despair. The creature shuddered in reaction, its eyes flaring brighter, as if responding to an idea lying dormant within Iris. "You can awaken me," it growled. The urgency felt palpable. The connection was there. She felt the weight of potential. "Never," she yelled, pushing back against the flood of destiny pressing in around her. "I will not follow you." In that moment of clarity, it all converged. She could be more than the shadows or the light. With every ounce of pent-up emotion, Iris stepped forward, her posture steady, declaring, "I am not your pawn, and I will not be defined by fear." Emilia's laughter ricocheted through the hallway. "You're lost, Iris." But that taunt filled Iris with fierce resolve. This was the moment to break free. "I'm not." For the first time, she looked into the depths of the creature's eyes and understood. It wasn't just her choice it sought, but a revelation. She could reshape the path woven into the fabric of this world. "I'm the one who gets to decide." The creature hesitated, confusion rippling across its monstrous face. The walls surged with energy, and for an instant, illumination enveloped her. All at once, the flickering lights brightened, piercing through the chaos and illuminating her true self. The crowd erupted behind her, unsure of who to follow, their fears spilling into the air, heavy like fog. Her parents stood at the back, eyes wide, watching this transformation, their daughter reframing her legacy before their very eyes. Iris felt the power inside pulse violently, yearning for release. With one intense motion, she thrust her arms out. "No more games." Her voice resonated, rippling through the air. It wasn't just for others, it was a declaration for herself. "I will not be your puppet any longer." A wave exploded from her, lighting up the darkened corridor with bright energy. The incarnate of her fears shrank back, the creature's roar echoing like a fading thunderclap, a distortion of fear replaced with something hopeful. Her inner light pulsated, dispelling shadows, casting warmth over the room. "I choose light. I choose hope." With every word, Iris felt the shackles of her past melt away. The room rocked, ashes swirling like moths caught in a bright flame. In that heat, she saw her parents. They stepped forward, uncertainty melting from their faces. "We're sorry, Iris," they said in unison. "We wanted to protect you." Tears blurred Iris's vision, but she felt lighter. "I understand." She took a step toward them, heart beating stronger. But truth is more powerful than fear. We can face it together. All at once, the creature shattered, fragments dissolving into a cascade of light, filling every corner of the room. The gala transformed back into a pulsing ball of humanity, struggling, but sparked with renewed vigor. "Iris!" Marco shouted, breaking through. A crowd, his eyes alight with pride. "You did it! I made my choice," she breathed, glancing back at Emilia, who now appeared uncertain, anger retreating into the shadows. As the last flicker of fairy tale chaos faded, Iris turned to her parents and embraced them tightly. They held her like she was a fragile treasure, yet she no longer felt fragile, a warrior forged in the flames of history. The echoes of confusion still lingered, but now they were shadows retreating into the past, whispers of a story rewritten. "Let's go home," she said softly, feeling the weight of optimism wrap around her like a warm coat. Together they stepped toward the light, ready to rewrite their legacy together. A new dawn awaited. The quest for understanding had just begun. But before you step forward, remember this moment. You have to subscribe right now to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter of our story. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button right now because it really helps the algorithm push us forward. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about how it all turned out. This is important, so instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Don't wait even one more second to share this. Real fans know that only by spreading the word can we keep the adventure alive.